in 1988. We had the tornado. I'd been in the office 6 months, and so anyway, I remember I was meeting with a group of women that were talking about women's rights. I still remember it to this day. I'm sitting in my office, and I look out the window, and the tree is bent over like this. I said, this isn't good. And so all of a sudden, we hear the tornado sirens, and the attorney runs down to me. He said, just had 4 tornadoes hit Council Bluffs. We got to get over to the command center, which is in the basement of the Potawatomi County Courthouse. So it's raining like a dog, and we're out there. We walked over and get in there and walk in, and there's a big room. It's empty, and there's a guy standing there who was the civil defense director for Potawatomi County. And he handed me this sheet, and it said, what to do during a disaster. See, I'm looking for him to help me. That didn't work. So we were in this disarray. The communication tower blew off the courthouse. So we had no 911 communication. So what we did was we had police officers with the video cameras that would go out, videotape the damage, and then come back and show us what was going on. So we had to assemble, like the public works and the parks and all these people and try to figure out what we were going to do. It was kind of a learning experience for me, obviously, but for everybody, because we never had said they wouldn't have a tornado in Council Bluffs because it couldn't jump the river, which is not true. But the other thing, the electricity went out. We couldn't use the gas pumps to fill up the public works trucks or police cars, and there was no backup. I was there like 4 days, and they'd bring me clothes, and then we'd eat in the basement of this place trying to put this thing together. We got National Guard in. Terry Branstad was out of town with his wife on a weekend getaway. The governor has to call. Well, you have to go through the Highway Patrol to contact the governor, and we couldn't get this guy to make a commitment. Are you sure you need to go? So we get the National Guard to come in, then we put a perimeter around the blocks where they were working, where the electricity was being restored. So there was a group of gypsies that came to town but it wasn't 12 hours later. They came in, and they were out there, and we're going, what the hell? So anyway, we put up the perimeter. And at night, we go out, me and the police chief would go out into the neighborhoods. We had a command center on 25th and Avenue G. A fireman's dad lived there, and he had a double-car garage. And so food would be brought in, and these people would sit there and they'd eat. And I remember one time we were out 2 o'clock in the morning. And I remember this one lady crying about how much damage she had at her house, and she was a single lady, and I'm afraid to go in the house. And so we got her a motel room, and another guy, he had a prosthesis leg, and his air conditioning was out, and it was swelling because of the humidity, and so he couldn't get his leg on because his leg was swelled. So Salvation Army or Red Cross got him in a motel room with air conditioning, little things like that, and pizza places would show up and pizza, and it was really kind of amazing to see these people do it. Well, we couldn't get ambulance or fire department or police cars down the streets because they're all, trees. And so we were having these meetings. Of course, the media would always come, and they'd be there. And so I remember they said, well, Mayor, how many National Guards people you got working tonight? And I said, about 150. Really? Yeah, they're working the areas hard. We hadn't had any people looting or any problems like that, so it's really pretty good. We got done. And so I asked the police chief, how many National Guard do we really have out there? He said, we got 2. They put one up here and one down there. But people saw their presence, but I'll tell you what, it changed the attitude for a lot of people. I mean, I saw people were really happy to see that their government was out there working, that neighbors were out there working, that other people were coming in and helping them. It just, honestly, it uplifted them. They kind of went, wow. That was a wake-up call. It probably taught me about being a manager of a government more than I thought after I reflect back over the years. There were no contingencies about what departments had to do and responsibility and that type of thing. It was just kind of, everybody was on their own. So after we had a disaster, we made sure that, there was backup in all the buildings. We made sure that there were rules and regulations put in place for all the drivers and all the employees. And all of a sudden we became managers instead of just people working there.